Hello, hello, everybody. Okay, let me just figure out all my beautiful little windows here. Technology. Anybody else believe in Mercury retrograde? Oh, okay. Wow, I totally just did something. I'm not sure what I did. So if you could mute yourself, that'd be really helpful. And I'm just gonna try and figure out this computer situation. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Okay. So, I can't see you guys for some reason. I'm gonna just mute everybody. Okay. Well, hi everybody. I'm just gonna start, and feel free to use the chat on the side here. So here's the chat because I can't see you. I don't know why. Let me see if maybe I can start this. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yes, I figured it out. Awesome. Okay, so wonderful. If you're watching the replay, feel free to fast forward maybe like a couple minutes here, and we're just going to get going. This is awesome. Hi, everyone. Nick and Tyler, Ezekiel, James, Maggie. Oh my gosh, this is great. Amanda, Becky. Wow. Steven. Oh my gosh. Brandon, this is so rad. I'm so happy to have you guys all here. I'm really excited to share with you what I've been working on. I've been creating this Love Shadows program that's like my 3-month program, and just like sharing little bits about it. Obviously, reprogramming the brain takes a while, and even 3 months is is just the tip of the iceberg. But it's okay. Here we're just gonna touch the tip of the iceberg today and share with you a little bit about what I'm kind of diving into. So let me just make sure it's all working here. You guys can hear me, right? Can somebody thumbs up? Okay, awesome, rad. So today's topic is about the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is such a powerful thing. Last week I talked a little bit about dream interpretation. Thank you to all of you that have played with that exercise of seeing the cube and the horse. It was really fun playing with interpreting what your subconscious mind comes up with, right? Because it communicates in these symbolic realms. And as an artist, I really love to express myself in symbolism and imagine ways that my mind is communicating through these kinds of symbolic realms. That's why it's really fascinating, because the conscious mind, we could be saying something like, don't think about a purple elephant. Don't think about a purple elephant. Don't think about a purple elephant. All your subconscious mind hears is purple elephant. It gets the image. And so we plant these things. When I was living in the mountains and snowboarding, we would go through the trees, and they would say, don't look at the trees. Don't look at the trees. But when you think of trees and you're looking at the tree, you end up hitting the tree. So you have to focus on look at the space between the trees, look at the space, focus on where you want to go rather than where you don't want to go. Because the subconscious mind works in this symbolic realm. And so this is where neuro-linguistic programming and your words are really powerful. But I'm just going to dive in today. So let's just take a moment to ground into the space, including myself. And I want to let you guys know that this is a safe container for whatever you might be sharing, whatever comes up for you. It's welcome here. And please respect the space and respect each other's shares today. So the conscious mind, when they talk about this concept of the iceberg, right, there's the tip of the iceberg, and then there's 90% underneath. There's what we know in our conscious mind, and then there's all this stuff in our subconscious mind that actually drives our behavior that we're unaware of. And all of this programming happened a long time ago. Our subconscious mind, part of it is, I see it like a computer if you think about a computer, there's hardware and then there's software. Some people have hardware issues with their brain. Some people have software issues with their brain. So hardware is original programming, maybe your genetic a predisposition, potentially a mental illness that could have happened, or a brain damage, or a mental illness of some sort. Some people have miswiring in their fundamental program, like what they came to life with, right? Like the nature nurture. This is sometimes nature imposed hardware malfunctions. And then that's like when I went into psychology, I was really learning a lot about the brain and hardware and software issues. And I realized where I want to focus my attention isn't necessarily helping. Like I think it's beautiful and bless the hearts of the angels of the people that do the work with hardware issues. It's really challenging to work with severe mental illness. And where I like to focus my attention on is maybe like a little bit of hardware stuff if there was problematic things with psychedelics or things that maybe altered the brain chemistry, but ultimately where my focus is on software and nurture, right? So there's nature and then there's nurture. So my passion is really nurture, because we develop all of these software from the moment we're born, even I would say even in the place of being in the womb, as the mom is maybe as her nervous system is really jacked and she's pumping cortisol. That's kind of borderline hardware, but it's programming the baby. It's programming the baby's software system. Sometimes they'll put gentle music on the pregnant ladies' bellies to start to program the parasympathetic nervous system of the child, that it can be able to handle stress, that it knows what relaxation feels like. And it's really powerful to have that kind of programming. But then as we keep going through life, we have all of these different programs that we inherit, right? When we're little, things happen. And as we get older, we just kind of compile on top of each other, and it formulates who we are as a human. And it takes time sometimes when you've been programming your software for a long time to deconstruct it and rewire it and notice, oh my gosh, my brain got wired in this particular way because this thing happened, and I've been operating from this old software that's really not serving me anymore. So the way that we explore the subconscious mind is through some of this old diving into some of these old files that are living underneath the surface. So today I wanted to dive in with you guys about some of these maybe potentially old files that are still wreaking havoc on your life today. So I'd like to just bring awareness for you up here. If there's something that you want to work on, some kind of pattern that you keep feeling like it keeps repeating itself for some reason, you're like, my conscious mind knows I want this, but for some reason I keep recreating the same result. Maybe it's a failure in a relationship, or why am I keep eating, like I keep stuffing my face with food. Why am I doing that? I know I'm like rationally supposed to be drinking green juices or whatever it is for you, or maybe just like a frustration with a particular dynamic. So get it in your consciousness, something that you want to apply today's lesson to. And feel free to, if anybody wants to share in the chat, maybe you're welcome to do that, what you're kind of wanting to focus on, if it's love, if it's health, and that way I can also direct my examples in this way. So, all right, everybody. So these things get programmed way back in today. So unconscious things that happened, let's see, I took some notes here. Unconscious things that happened and we made it mean something, created the programming that drives our behavior, right? So we have these unconscious programs that create and by programs, what I mean is things like belief systems, like I'm not good enough. Like something happened back in the day and then we made it mean I'm not good enough. Or something happened back in the day and we made it mean like something's wrong with me. I'm fundamentally flawed for some reason. Like there's like my brain's like just can't figure out these things, or why does things constantly happen to me. I'm accident prone, things like these are belief systems or programs that we see the world, and we have a filter that we see the world through, and we navigate through these filters of these programs. So I'm alone, I'm unlovable, things like that. And so on a rational level, on a conscious level, you're like, of course I'm lovable, or yeah, I can do this. But then there's this underlying subconscious program that's kind of creating an infection in your life and leaking into all areas. And some of these programs will play out in many different areas of life. Like you might be experiencing problems in relationship over and over. These things keep repeating themselves. And you'll notice that that same underlying belief system is also playing itself out in career. It's playing itself out in how you manage your time and how you organize your space. And there's like all of this stuff. If you have a belief system of like, there's not enough time, there's not enough time, there's not enough time, you're going to play out, there's not enough time in your relationships. You're going to play out, there's not enough time in my career. There's not enough time to organize my space. There's not enough time to do these things I have to, so these things play out in all different areas of our lives. So, of course. So for example, here's a little example. There was I worked with a particular person. One of my clients was having challenges in relationship, and consciously he knew that he had the belief system that he's not good enough. Like he's like, for some reason, I'm just like, I get it, V. Like I have this, he bubbled out this belief system, right? This unconscious belief system of, I keep having this repetition of fucking up my relationships with these women. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Oh, like one layer was like, oh, I have this belief system that I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm somehow fundamentally flawed. And then we had to kind of dive in a little bit deeper. But why? Why do you feel like, what is it? What happened there that made you formulate this belief system? And then we started diving in. Okay, what was the last memory? Well, it was my last girlfriend, this happened. And then it was like, oh, well, when it was the baseball team, when I fucked up there and I failed and I just like didn't get the catch and I screwed over the whole team. And then it was like, oh, well, what happened before that? And it was, and we took it back far down into the earliest possible memory. And he had this memory when he was 9 years old, when his best friend, and for a 9-year-old, think about like your best friend as a 9-year-old. As an adult, you're kind of like, oh, that sucks, but you've had enough life experience where it may not hit you as much. But when you're like, your friends are everything, you're just formulating these friendships, and it's formulating the basis of who you believe you are. And back in the day, his best friend, because they had different passions, decided, I don't want to be friends with you. Like, you have these passions, and he just basically, his best friend dumped him. And at this young, impressionable age, he created this belief system that, wow, I'm not good enough for connection. People don't want me. I'm somehow flawed. Like, I'm not worthy of relationships. I'm not worthy. Like, I can't seem to be good enough for these things. And then he would, later on in life, we end up finding, when you have that operating system, you end up going through life repeatedly finding validation for the operating system. And it's really invasive, and that's how it builds itself with all of this proof, right? You're like, see, I am, even though you're like, I don't want to believe this thing, there's a part of you that's like, see, I have all this proof to prove this shitty thing about me. And we omit anything that is actually counter, is saying anything of a different sort to ourselves. So he could have actually had experiences where he is good enough and he was loved and he was wanted around, but that those memories get omitted because you have the belief system of like, I'm not good enough. And so those experiences don't serve, don't validate, don't prove that belief system. So we literally omit them and push them out of the consciousness. And then we're like, but remember that time when like I had this belief system that I was ugly because I didn't look like my Barbies. I didn't look like that like perfect, thing that we get programmed as women get programmed as little girls. This is what you're supposed to look like. I'm like Eastern European. I have like an Eastern European nose. Like I have a particular aesthetic that wasn't the mainstream culture's indication of beauty. And so when I was little, I had all these little things that happened where I would be rejected by boys that I like first started having crushes on. And it started to formulate that experience, regardless of what it was, I made it mean, see, there's proof that I'm not attractive. And so I kept compiling this belief system with all of these experiences. And when other things would happen, whether my relationship would break down or something, I blamed it on my belief system that somehow I'm not worthy, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not enough for my relationships. And when I finally woke up to this program and I realized, oh my gosh, this is subjective. Beauty is subjective. And yeah, some people might not see that, but there's other people that do see that in me. And so I started to actually rewrite that program and really start to bring a different kind of relationship with myself. And when I started to shift the relationship with myself, I started behaving different in the world and not freaking out and like projecting, like, you don't think I'm beautiful. You don't think I'm, that kind of anxiety and like waiting for proof to validate my belief system. I started to rewrite that experience for myself. And then my experience in life ended up being different. So if anybody's interested, I'd love to get curious about some of these things. But before we even do that, I want to do this exercise with you guys where a little bit of a meditation where you can bring into your conscious awareness some kind of pattern that might be happening for you. So get comfortable. You can, close your eyes if you'd like, and allow yourself to drop into your parasympathetic nervous system, meaning your relaxed state of rest and digest. So when we are able to take deep breaths and really get into our state of relaxation, we actually have more access to our prefrontal cortex, to the more higher faculties of thinking, and even accessing more of the visionary realm within our subconscious mind. When we're anxious and we're kind of doing and thinking, we're more in the limbic system and that fight or flight and kind of doing and driving, that we actually don't have as much access to our entire brain's capacity. So if you allow yourself to take a few deep breaths, you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and take a deep inhale into your diaphragm, into your belly, really all the way up into your chest. And releasing the air. Taking a few more deep breaths, deep inhale. And deep exhale. One way to get your mind, if it's wandering off, is you can count to 4 as you deeply inhale to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, release. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 4. Hold. Exhale. Hold. And inhale. Allowing your breath to rise and fall naturally. And bring into your awareness some kind of pattern that keeps frustrating you in your life. Something that just keeps repeating itself. Picking an area of your life, maybe love or particular dynamic. And get present to the feeling sensation that is around that drama. So if it's heartbreak, maybe there's a constriction in your heart there. Maybe there's some tension in your stomach. There was something that experience brought up for you viscerally in your body. So get connected to a sensation in your body around maybe the last failure, or the last rejection, or the last self-sabotage, something around there. Notice where it might live in your body, if you feel any constriction anywhere around it. And as you get present to the sensation, allow your mind to go back into a moment in time where you felt that sensation again, a similar sensation to that experience. So the circumstances could look different, but the sensation, maybe the disappointment, had a very similar physiological experience. Notice what was happening around in that space and time. Notice what was happening in your life at that time, how you felt, the people involved possibly. Now imagining like you're stepping into a time machine and going back even further in time to another moment where you felt this same sensation. Similar experience. Who was around at that time? What was happening in your life? And how you felt at that time and place. And allowing yourself to step into that time machine perhaps one more time, swirling around and coming back to maybe an even earlier time where you felt this feeling, this sensation, or this disappointment. Looking at the situation around you, connected to your younger self, noticing what was happening in that time and how you felt. And then coming back to your time machine and allowing it to bring you back into this moment, right now, right here. And so maybe this has brought up some sensations for you, maybe some discomfort in your body. Just want you to be gentle with yourself, because it's often that we don't allow ourselves to actually go back into our subconscious mind and explore memories. We don't necessarily give space to retrieve memories for ourselves. So thank you for being willing to go there and to dive in and to look. So if anybody would like to share something that may have surprised you, or you may have discovered, you're welcome to do that here. So what we do normally is when we retrieve these moments and we see some of these things that may have happened in the past, it is what's really powerful in being able to rewrite the neurocircuitry is to be able to, with the tools that we gain as an adult, of this. Possibly one of the tools is this sifting between what happened, what did I make it mean, what belief systems that I program about myself, and then going back in that time frame for your past self, seeing what happened, what was the belief system that you had imposed upon yourself at that time, and realizing that you didn't necessarily have to make it mean what that younger self made it mean about you, and how you've been carrying that belief system throughout your life. And it's like a backpack that you keep, like, see, there's another rock in that backpack, there's another proof of that, there's another proof of that. And noticing back in time, when did I first formulate this, when did I first put on this backpack, when did I first formulate this belief system about myself? And it can be really, really powerful to say, holy shit, that's when I put that on for the first time. Wow, that's why I made it mean this about myself. And now I've been finding proof for this for years. Holy crap, like, let me start to reprogram. Let me start to heal this relationship to my past self and what happened. And let me put in some new, as my adult self, I can have this conversation with my younger self and give my younger self what support I actually needed back in the day that I didn't receive, and I didn't know, I didn't have it, that I didn't have the tools at that time. So would anybody like to share what they might have seen or what came up for them? I know it's a little bit vulnerable, but please know that this is a safe space, and your contribution to the group, if you share anything, is, I bet you other people are going to see something for themselves as well. So if anybody, you can just like wiggle your hand, or Tyler? Yeah, you can unmute yourself and mute. Here, I'll unmute you. I think I can unmute you.
Hey, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, so the question is, if you got to see if there's a particular pattern that you're working with, that you're wanting to rewrite, right? You're like experiencing, gosh, I keep having like rejection keeps popping up in my life. Why do I keep having rejection? And then the meditation visualization is looking back, like, when did I experience rejection last? When was it before that? When was it before that? And so I'm not sure if you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. I quit a job a couple months ago, and trying to get back into the job market's been really rough for me. The last few months, I have a felony for DUI on my record.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's been a lot of acceptance, but it's been a lot of finding jobs or going back to old jobs that I left on good terms and stuff. But it's like rejection after rejection after rejection.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I'm going through, and I've been through letting go and of accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it still sucks and it's still rough.
Mm-hmm. And so did you notice if so rejection happened or not, it's like the job didn't work out, right? It just, for some reason,
Correct.
it wasn't compatible. And
Yeah, for a few different jobs, for a few, different
uh,
reasons.
got it. And so there was an occurring of wow, I'm being rejected here. Did you make it mean something about yourself?
Um, I'm resilient. Um,
Yeah.
it seems like somehow law of attraction is kind of working against me. It seems like when I quit my last job, I've been trying to find work where I'm helping people or doing things that I enjoy more. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels like, just kind of stuff isn't working out.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like it's not working out because you're not actually doing jobs that are aligned with your heart? Or do you feel like it's not working out because there's, for some reason, some part of you that's creating a dynamic that's like, I want this job, but for some reason I'm like, something's out of my blind spot. I'm creating a break.
Correct. Yeah. Some dynamic, something isn't lining up. Like, I'm not doing enough to get back what I want, if that makes sense. It, like,
Okay.
maybe I'm not putting in enough applications or meditating enough or helping other people enough, you
Uh-huh.
know, the karma, it feels like karma may be working against me.
Oh, interesting. So there's like this belief that there's some outside force outside of you that's like for some reason affecting your present reality.
Yeah, you worded it well.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So there's like a feeling of helplessness, perhaps. Like,
Correct.
why is that happening? Uh-huh. And so something for you to explore in this particular navigation is getting down to what happened back in my life that made me feel helpless, and actually creating peace with this part. There's these two parts of ourselves, right? There's a part of ours that's like, I have control over certain aspects of my life, and there's parts of ourselves that's like, wow, there's certain aspects that I don't have control over. And it feels really uncomfortable to be helpless to the things that we have no control over, right? It's
Yep.
like there's these elements that I can't do anything about. And so there's these two parts of ourselves that are kind of like trying to find a balance. At what point is this something that's part of me, and at what point is this something that's outside of my control, right? And so it's like, I can do something about this, that's me. I can change certain parts of myself. And like, what you're inquiring here, is it something about me? Am I actually, is there something in my subconscious mind that's like calling in these things, right? That's kind of the curiosity there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this like, is there, sometimes there's outside forces that I just am helpless to. But where the power sits when we're actually co-creating this stuff is that the power sits in like, what can I do about it? If there's something that I can't do about, what you can do about it is surrender, or make peace with, or separate yourself from things that you can't do anything about, right? There's ways to accept or surrender or block out. If it's something toxic for you, there's like, wow, I can't do anything about the fact that this person doesn't like me, or maybe you can, right? So it's like exploring those two aspects of yourself, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. I'll do a little digging on that.
Yeah, feel free to like journal about it. It's always a really, really great way to explore what's under here. Like, what can I control? What can't I control? And like, what do I believe about myself that might be, or what parts of me are maybe calling in these situations in my life? You know?
Good point. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for sharing. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate that. Um, let's see. Somebody said here, whoa, Becky. For me, self-sabotage in my current marriage brings me back to self-sabotage in my first marriage, which was abusive. Brings me back to self-injury as a teen, self-sabotage. Brings me back to dealing with parents' divorce, feeling helpless. I've always needed a backup plan and a way to avoid feelings. As a teen, the physical pain, thank you, by the way. This is like really vulnerable and beautiful, and I really appreciate you being willing to share this with us. As a teen, the physical pain was better than the emotional pain. In my first marriage, I needed validation I wasn't getting from my husband in my current marriage. I'm feeling like a need backup because I'm convinced I'll fuck it up again because I'm not good at marriage, because I never had a good example of marriage. Wow. Whew, wow, girl, that's powerful. Many of us did not have good examples of what a healthy marriage feels like. And so we're literally like retraining ourselves of what it looks like. Would you be willing to? Yeah, James was like, tell me about it. um, would you be willing to jump on the talk with me here?
Yep, I just unmuted myself. I'm here.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Hi.
So you're feeling like there's this part of you that's like, why am I self-sabotaging? And like this, but then there's also this feeling of helplessness that you talk about. I've always had.
Yeah, so I'm in a really great marriage right now. I found a man who loves me and loves my children and is a really solid provider and a really amazing guy. And for some reason, I still feel the need to have, like, like I said, backup plans, because I'm just petrified that I'm going to figure out a way to fuck it up. And, you know, I've got to have something else in the pipeline.
Yeah. So there's this feeling of like, I have to, like, the ground beneath my feet is shaky and I have to make sure I have places to put my feet if it crumbles.
Yes, because the ground beneath my feet for the last 35 years has been shaky. So, like, what reason do I have to believe that it's not now? Even if it's not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, got it. And so what's happening is you're putting your feet into potentially, so it's like, how can you put some part of you onto steady ground? And how can we be at peace with, wow, sometimes life is a little shaky, like getting like it's weird to say, but getting comfortable with uncomfortableness, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
and it's always been very hard because the uncomfortable has always been pure chaos, and I do not have a life of chaos right now. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not chaotic, but you're feeling like
No.
you're like waiting for chaos.
Yes. Waiting for the ball to drop, waiting for things to fall apart, because that's what they've always done. So that's what I expect is going to be the outcome.
Wow. Yeah. And it's so wild because when we have that belief system, sometimes we actually create the drama that creates the ball to drop.
Exactly.
Right. To prove it. Like, see, I knew it. The ball was going to drop at some point.
Yeah. It's, yep, for sure.
Yeah, got it. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful. Part of it is actually a little bit of, people say like trauma is, oh my gosh, trauma. Like if I was I was in a war zone, there isn't trauma, but actually our nervous system, when we've had things in our life in the past, when we were children that dropped out, when we really needed stability, it does create this experience of waiting for the next thing to happen, waiting, like, when is it going to drop? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen again? So, like, for example, I experienced an earthquake here in California, and my nervous system was just like, is it going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? Is it like, I was on guard waiting, like any moment, any moment, any moment, any moment. And I couldn't relax fully to surrender. And ultimately the lesson there in yoga practice, this is really intense because it's like really high level of, like mental training and nervous system training, is in yoga, the final resting pose we do is Shavasana, which is practicing death. And I had to allow my nervous system to, in order for me to release the tension and the anxiety and the trauma that it had gained from like the shock of the earthquake, is I literally had to allow myself to surrender to the possibility of death. I know it was intense, but allowing myself to sit with that and feel the feelings that come up and the terror that comes up, and keep saying like, it's okay. You're safe, and you're safe in surrender. You're safe in surrender. You're going to be safe. Allowed my nervous system to reprogram and release some of that trauma that it had stored in there. I don't know if that's something that would be helpful for you, but and feel free to give me back feedback here. But if you were to actually sit with the feelings that come up, of exploring the possibility of, what if the ground, let me explore allowing, like, if I allow myself to feel what it would feel like for the ground beneath me to fall, can I allow myself to feel the feelings of free fall, and also potentially, can I root my ground on something that is infinite, that isn't, another partnership or another thing that's transient in life? Can I root my ground in something that never goes away, like my connection to my, I don't know if you have a spiritual practice, but like a connection to my spirit, a connection to the divine, or connection to of something that can't be dropped away.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And for me, it's the connection to my children, because they are my constant. They are my everything. They are my focus. And so, yes, I think it's challenging to sit in the thought of like, what would I do if I was back in the single mom position and having to support and provide for my children on my own again.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done it before. I can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like it develops this sense of courage. It's not, and then it makes you not behave and react from a place of like, don't leave, like, right, like clingy, like we're like, don't go, right. I'm scared you're gonna leave, right? And so we end up like they're like, whoa, you're like it ends up pushing them away, right? But it's like, I'm gonna be okay no matter what happens. Okay, and now from that place of like solid pillar of like, I'm going to be okay no matter what happens, I'm going to still request my needs for, hey, I really want to deepen our connection, I want to strengthen our relationship, I want to lean in here. And so it's coming, your communication comes from a different place, right? And I also want to take note here, because I noticed something, and feel free to be careful even rooting your ground in your children, because that's going to shift through your life, right? And so even allowing that place to come to even something more solid within yourself, that no matter what, and it's like scary to even allow like another layer, right? We're like peeling the layer of attachments we have to life. It's like rooting your groundedness on something like that's so unshakable, no matter what like not even on the material reality plane. Like this is like, it's like no matter what happens in life, like this is my home base.
For sure. And I think that makes a lot of sense. My kids are entering into the teenage years. So we're getting into that point where they're very, they respond a lot differently to mom than they used to. So I do recognize that it's something that I'm going to need to find within myself. I'm not there yet. They're a close second. But I recognize that I need to dig deeper and find it within myself as well.
And you get to model that for them, right? Like my mom modeled martyrdom a lot in my life, where she like everything was for us, and I didn't learn how to prioritize my own oxygen mask. I had to relearn that, because my mom was just like such a freaking angel. She gave everything, but and I appreciate that so much. But it would have been really powerful to see her be like, and I did sometimes see her be like, I need a nap, kids. Mama's got to like take care of herself, And so it's important to model that for them too. Like, this is how you root yourself. You root yourself in your, like, in your heart, in your center. And you give them those pillars. So.
And I completely agree. And recently I have gotten into working out, and my kids have seen that, they've noticed that, and they're attentive to that. And I also, after over a year of unemployment, started work a few weeks ago. And
congratulations.
So they're seeing, thank you. They're seeing that too. They've always seen mom work, but then there was an extended period where mom wasn't working. Mom was just home and depressed and on the couch most of the time. And now, mom's back into it. And I think that's a good thing for them to see as well.
Yeah, that hero's journey, that we can fall and flail and, go through life, and we could also rise above it. And this is how it's good for kids to see the like, not that it's failure, but to see our struggle moments, right? And how we go through struggle and how we rise above them, because they're going to have struggle, and to see like, wow, she can do it. She can rise. This is how she did it. And it's really beautiful to model that phoenix for your children.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's very important for kids to see not only like, here's the strength that I bring, but also here's how I overcome adversity. Here's how I have risen above. Here's how I have conquered difficulties.
Yeah. Beautiful. Aww.
Real quick, I just want to say hi. It's Gretchen. Thank you.
Hi, Gretchen. Thank you, Becky. I really appreciate you sharing. Gretchen, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome.
Thank you. I've actually got to hop off to Lizandra just got home, so we're gonna be outside. I love you.
Okay.
This has been amazing.
Love you too, girl. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
You're awesome.
Likewise. So I want to honor everybody's time because I know we're getting here to an hour. And I wanted to share with you that I've been doing this group program that's going to be starting tomorrow on the full moon, and it's going all the way through the full moon in October 13th. It's 13 weeks. I'm like doing these like magical number things. It's going to be 3 different modules. The first is really diving deeper into self-love, connection, creating safety within yourself. The second module is about diving into some of these more shadow aspects within yourself. And by shadow, I mean parts of yourself that are maybe a little bit harder to look at, maybe even hidden to your consciousness. And so as we create the safety to be able to look, some of these things are going to start to pop up. And we're going to be able to start to look at some of these infections that are happening, or maybe parts of ourselves that we're like, ooh, I don't want to look at that. And ooh, it's ugly in other people because it's like, ooh, it's ugly in myself. And then the third module is about integrating that stuff into the world, right? So as we're healing these things within us, it's kind of the way I say it, it's like, when you're planting a garden, if the soil, meaning the subconscious mind, is full of, it's like the soil is not really thriving, it's not really nourishing, it's not really, you're planting a seed and the seed's like, whoop, and it just dies. And whereas if you have soil that's really nourished and primed, and the stuff like the weeds are uprooted and composted and we've alchemized it all, when you plant a seed in that kind of soil, the seed actually manifests. So you can actually manifest things in your life that you've been like, why can't I manifest? I'm doing all my affirmations. Like I'm doing, like on the conscious level, I'm doing the things, but on the subconscious level, the soil is like not actually supporting the seeds that you're trying to cultivate. So it starts tomorrow. If anybody's interested, feel free to reach out to me, send me a message, and we can get on a call. It's $600 for 3 months. And if anybody's like really having a hard time financially and you actually do want to participate and it really inspires you, I'm flexible and open to talking about it. So please let me know. I want to share this work with people. Obviously, I also need to like support my work and thrive. So that's the price that I put is $600. But I am open to, to like scholarship opportunities for people or some kind of trade or something. So feel free to talk to me. I know a friend and I were talking about the potential of doing some trade. So that's that. And so I just wanted to put that out there. If anybody needs to go, feel free to message me if you're interested. But I also want to continue here and let you guys know if anybody else wants to share. I'm open to staying on a little bit longer, and I'd love to hear if anything else came up for anybody else. So, but I also want to give permission if anybody's got to go, like Gretchen's like off yeah. Feel free to either, I can't see everybody, you can either like wave your hand or unmute yourself and just say hi, or feel free to put a little note in the chat box below.
Hi.
Is that Ezekiel?
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, Zeke. Yay. I'm so glad you got to make it.
Yeah, me too. It's been really cool hearing everything and doing that, diving a little deeper into the subconscious. I haven't really done that too much, so it was fun exploring that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when you mentioned the food stuff, I think that one hit sort of home for me with like sometimes just like overeating, not all the time, but sometimes just like having a little more than I feel I need. And then like, in turn, my body's like in digestion more parts of the day and expending a lot of energy trying to digest all this food that I'm eating. And actually in turn makes me like more tired and less productive in my sort of environment where I'm working all the time kind of. So it's kind of like harder, especially when it's really hot out in the daytime, to like be motivated. I'm like super full. I just ate like 3 smoothie cups, or I don't know,
Uh-huh. Oh, interesting.
especially if it's like good food. Sometimes I'll just like overindulge more than I need to.
Uh-huh. Or at least you're
Or
indulging
like,
in good food.
yeah, or it's like I made some like bomb veggie burritos and like overfilled them on accident, and then like ate them both and was like, whoa, I shouldn't have ate both.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
but also being like somewhat aware that I am doing it. So it's like better than not being like aware at all.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but it has come up like like more than multiple times, but a good enough for me to be like aware of it and be like, this needs to stop. But
Okay, so you're
even like,
noticing a pattern here that's like, I keep
yeah,
overeating and then I get really tired. I just want to take a little siesta because, I mean,
yeah,
food is like we want to rest and digest after.
totally,
So one, I
totally.
want to say like maybe make some time to rest and digest.
Yeah.
But also getting curious around if there's a certain feeling, sensation that food is, because food can be comfort food, right? So there's
Hmm.
certain, sometimes like for me, I notice myself going in the fridge all the time when I'm bored. That's like one,
Yeah.
or I'm avoiding something, or
Yeah.
or I'm anxious in some way. And it's like
Hmm.
and so have you noticed if there's like a particular time when you're doing that, like mentally
Well,
where you're at?
I find it like enjoyable to eat. Maybe I'm doing it like sometimes like sweet things, like making a little piece of toast with some honey or like some
Mm-hmm.
stuff, little, I guess like cravings,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that happen that are natural. But yeah, I just need to like, I think just be more on top of it, and I guess decide faster, upon the thoughts of having the craving, and like, uh, I guess, yeah, decide faster to not to like, 'cause it's like I know what I really need. It's I have the right intuition about it.
Mm.
I just need to be a little bit stronger in myself and like be more aware. And I think like even talking about it like this, like brings it
Mm.
to the forefront, of my consciousness. So it's like easier to not do that. Um, yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
yeah.
there's the creating the structure and the boundaries around it, like right portion control and all that stuff, and like
Hmm.
time when it's like the best for like space for naps. But then there's
Hmm.
also sometimes there's like an underlying need. Like for me, sometimes gosh, this is like a little revealing, but like sensuality, right? Like deliciousness, like sensuality or comfort or like nurturing. Maybe if my body's not receiving certain needs, it'll go
Hmm.
to comfort or in different ways. And so when I know
Yeah.
that, when I can actually, if you allow yourself to sit in the like the like hunger, like I have to eat something, the hunger demons.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna explore this, get curious
Yeah.
what's underneath here, because I'm not hungry right now. Like I've had experiences where I'm like, I'm not hungry, but I'm like, I want to eat. And so I'll sit
Yeah.
and meditate in that moment and be like, all right, what am I trying to feed? There's a practice I can share with you. It's called feeding your
Mm.
demons.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I dive into this a little bit into my 3-month thing, but it's this practice of getting curious of what, if you're like hunger demons, like feed me, was you like anthropomorphize it, you make it like a little character. You can
Yeah.
inquire, what do you want right now? I want to eat everything. And then it's like, well, what do you need right now? What is actually underneath
Mm.
the want? And it's like, oh, I need to scream. I need
Hmm.
some like cuddles. I need, and
Hmm.
get curious, like what's actually underneath here. And then when you give it the need rather than the want, you can actually, it'll like, you won't have the desire to eat the thing, because you're actually feeding
Hmm.
it what it's needing rather than what it's just like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pattern, right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing
So
that. That's a very
of
common
course.
thing.
But yeah, definitely. But so during, I like you took me back once to the first time travel. And that was like back to some other farm that I was working on, and like I'd been going to all these festivals and just like took like a few days to come work on the farm with my good friend. And my other friend who was already there made up like some super bomb food, and I just like super overate, but probably the most I'd ever done ever. And it was like actually painful the next day working.
Oh,
Like, and then
yeah.
and then it finally went away at lunchtime, and then I just did it again somehow on accident, and it was like worse. I was like, come on, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
it's
that was
hard
like, that
sometimes
was,
in the moment to realize like the repercussions later on. It's almost like an affair, right? You're like,
yeah.
"Ooh, this is gonna feel so fucking good right now," but then you're like, oh damn.
Yeah.
And then your
Yeah.
affair with food.
So yeah, I've heard it's good to like, you know, sit with it after you eat and just like check in like 20 minutes and then like be like, do I need any more, you know?
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was like the first time travel back, and you asked me to like jump back again, and I was just like I was like scanning my mind and like thinking and like trying to like find some other time. I'm like, I'm sure it's happened like many times before, but I just like couldn't like think of anything, you know,
Mm.
of
Mhm.
why. And then like this thing popped into my mind when I was like I don't know, pretty young, just like at my dad's with my stepmom, and like I think it was before some of my siblings were born, and some of their friends were around. It was like Thanksgiving or something, and I had this like he would call me like the bottomless pit sometimes, you know, and he'd like
Mm.
feeding me all this stuff, and I would just be like eating all this food, you know. But I was kind of like playing into it. I kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of funny, but I don't know exactly, but I was like into it, you know, and I would like eat a bunch of food, and like uh
Mm.
I probably didn't need that much as a kid, but I feel like it was often that I would just eat a lot, and I know that when you eat a lot, your stomach expands and you're like able to eat a lot more consistently, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so I was like, but I just like I was surprised because I like couldn't think of anything, you know. And then like that popped
Mm.
into my mind, and I was like, whoa, that may be of like from like consistently eating a lot and being like hyped up on it by my parents or like my dad and like
Mm.
some of their friends, you know. And then like
Yeah.
being into it and thinking it was cool, you know. And then like I know a lot of those things can form like when you're 7 to 9 or in this younger kind of age, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah,
old I
your
was, but
relationship.
I was like, whoa, maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's a really powerful. I wouldn't dismiss that. The memory and
Hmm.
the ties of the neurons, it's kind of interesting how that
Hmm.
happens. Um, but there's an association to food that has a particular kind of emotional reward. And it seemed like that
Hmm.
reward at that time was something around like inclusivity and like seeing you in a particular way. So it gave
Hmm.
you it gave you something more than just the nourishment. And so that's a really
Yeah.
good thing to inquire, like, well, what did it give me socially and
Hmm.
in that way, right? And maybe there's a part of me that's actually trying to meet this other need that it used to give me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to take a second to ask yourself why, you know, and question yourself in those moments.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah,
one.
and looking back in time is kind of beautiful to look at that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I formulated like I have a relationship to food that um you know, like for me anxiety it was like scarcity. Like you better eat fast because
Hmm.
if you don't eat fast, like somebody else is going to eat it. And so it was like,
Totally.
oh, eat, eat, eat. And so sometimes people with siblings will be like eating fast in that way. And
Totally.
oh wow, my relationship to food is like that. Can I reprogram a sense of abundance in my life now? And
Hmm.
just be like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy this bowl, like a very like tantric experience, one strawberry at a time, or whatever, you know. So
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. That reminds me of like kind of like almost like the need to not waste can kind of, I don't know, has come up in my realm before,
Mm.
especially with like eating, but also with maybe like I used to smoke a lot more herb and stuff. And I remember like smoking and definitely being like probably like stoned enough, you know, and then just like, well, I don't want to waste this end, you know, and just like keep blazing it. Or like the food,
Uh-huh.
like there's like this much of the burrito left, but I'm like pretty full. And then I'm like,
Mm.
well, I don't want to waste it, you know, I don't want to eat it. It's not
Mm.
that much, you know, and then like pushing myself past trying not to waste. That's another thing too, like really being like, it's okay. Like I don't need to overstuff my body or get too stoned, you know, just because I don't want to
That's
waste this food
awesome.
that we have so much abundance of.
That's really powerful breakthrough right there. Like abundance
Yeah.
mentality. And
Yeah.
abundance is maybe giving back to the earth a little bit and giving back to like, wow, thank you, Mother Earth. Like I'm actually satiated. Like, here's my offering back. Or like, I'll save it for tomorrow. I had an experience working on the mountain. You guys will appreciate this story. I come from Chicago, where like cannabis is like, you save all your freaking roaches and everything, right? and then at one point we were like hanging out on the table with a bunch of people, and there's like roaches from the day, and I like piled all the roaches in this little tiny little pile. And I was like, should I save these? And I look up, and my friend is like, Vanetta, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, and I like pointed behind him, and it was like a forest of ganja trees. He's like, a bunch, like, because I was still in this like I recognized, wow, the scarcity. Like when we are in scarcity, there's a reality, because it was scarcity in Chicago. We're like, oh my God, we really don't have, there's like a certain mentality. And so it's like checking in. Like, wow, I'm in a place of abundance right now. Can I give back? Or I am in scarce, like, and I do need to be conservative with my food. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. Right. Yeah.
Totally.
Right on.
About another thing, one more thing before I finish my share, but I was hearing somebody talk about how, in this, and especially in this country and stuff, we're so blessed with so much food, and we have so much all the time. And it's actually really a rare thing that we ever actually feel hungry or like feel thirsty or something. And obviously, like, within safe limits, but I'm just thinking, like, sometimes, like, when you do feel hungry, just feel into that and just feel it for a second, because it's like we don't ever even have to feel that, or feel thirsty. I'm not saying like starve yourself or like don't go without water, but just like something that we have the privilege not to feel. We have like so much.
Yeah, and it brings you in a state of gratitude and appreciation. Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll definitely practice that. It's a good practice.
Yeah.
Aww.
Awesome. Well, I should get back to work, but I really enjoyed sharing and hearing everybody's shares. And thank you, Vanetta, for leading us in that meditation and having this experience.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. I want to honor everybody's time. It's been an hour, and I want to just like dive into everybody. Like, tell me more. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested, or if something came up for you that you want to dive in a little bit deeper privately. I'm open to getting on a couple calls this week. Obviously the program starts tomorrow, so I'm like busy, but if you want to get in the program, and I'm going to enroll through the week. So if anybody, like the first week is just sort of like intro, like here we are, welcome videos. And so the way that I'm just going to share a little bit, the way that it's going to work is every week I'm going to share a little lesson plan. And then we're going to get on at some point later on in the week, we're going to get on a group call like this, where we can talk about the lesson plan, what came up. And then we'll have a Facebook group where you can share your experience, your homework, and support one another through what's coming up for you. And so it's really beautiful. I really love having evolutionary containers. Like, I call things like this, like the people that I surround myself and want to be around, I call them like evolutionaries. We're committed to consciously evolving, to growing our consciousness, to expanding it, and to learning more about ourselves. And so I would love to build that group and expand it. So if any of you guys are interested, let me know. I would love to have you in there. And yeah, if you want to just get on a private call with me, let me know. I also do private coaching. So if anybody's like, I don't want to share my stuff in a group, and I just want to, I need to hash something out one-on-one with you, I'm open to that as well. So just putting that out there, you guys. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time today, for jumping on here with me. It really means a lot to me. It's really supportive. I'm really stepping into this space as a facilitator and really offering my gifts and wanting to share them more with the world. And it just means so much to me, your presence here today and your support. And I really appreciate you. And I'm super excited to have the dynamic of both men and women. I've worked with just women and like women's groups before, but it's really rad to see like the brothers like stepping up too and like doing this conscious evolution, and like us collaborating and contributing. Meg's like, yeah, conscious men, yeah. It's really rad, and I am super grateful for everybody that's been here today and doing their work. I love you guys. Thank you. And yeah, let's stay in touch. Okay.